There was a time, not so long ago, when Japan was completely off limits. A mysterious island nation sealed off from the world. No ships in, no people out. A land where foreign ideas were banned, Christianity was outlawed, and traveling abroad could mean a death sentence. This wasn't just policy, it was sakoku, the closed country. Yet today, Japan is one of the most open, most visited, most technologically advanced societies on Earth. Millions of tourists pour into Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, searching for sushi, samurai, and the serenity of cherry blossoms. But how did this happen? How did a nation that deliberately cut itself off for over 200 years go on to reshape itself into a world superpower, defeating empires, surviving nuclear devastation, and rising from the ashes of war to become the third largest economy on the planet? To answer that, we need to go back, way back, because the story of Japan is not just a story of emperors and generals, it's a story of resilience, of revolution, of isolation and reinvention. The islands we now call Japan have been inhabited for over 40,000 years. Its earliest peoples came from mainland Asia, bringing farming, metalworking, and the seeds of what would become a powerful civilization. By the 3rd century AD, a centralized kingdom had formed around the Yamato region, ruled by a figure known as the Emperor. And while emperors would remain a part of Japan's identity for centuries, real power was already shifting. From Korea came Buddhism. From China came language, architecture, and the idea of an imperial court. But Japan was never content to simply copy. It reimagined, reshaped, and evolved. By the late 8th century, Emperor Kanmu founded a new capital, Heian-kyo, modern-day Kyoto. It would remain the spiritual heart of Japan for over 1,000 years. But peace is never permanent. Over time, the imperial court in Kyoto became bloated, corrupt, and ineffective. Power slipped away, first to the noble families, then to regional warlords backed by fierce warriors known as samurai. These weren't just soldiers, they were a way of life. Bound by honor, trained from childhood, and ready to die for their masters. By the 12th century, warrior clans like the Taira and Minamoto were tearing the country apart. The winner? Minamoto no Yoritomo. In 1192, he convinced the emperor to name him shogun, great general. But this wasn't a title of honor, it was a declaration of power. From that point forward, Japan would be ruled by military governments or shogunates for the next 700 years. Invasions followed. In the 13th century, the mighty Mongol Empire turned its eyes toward Japan. Their fleets were vast, their soldiers unstoppable, and yet, twice, they were defeated by nature itself. Typhoons, which the Japanese would call kamikaze, divine winds, wiped out the Mongol invaders. Japan had been spared, but the cost of defense had nearly bankrupted the government. And, as always, when power weakens, chaos follows. The 14th to 16th centuries were marked by near-constant civil war. Samurai lords, called daimyo, carved the country into fractured fiefdoms. Assassins, ninjas, and warrior monks became commonplace. It was chaos, but out of that chaos rose visionaries. One of them was Oda Nobunaga, who wielded European firearms brought by Portuguese traders in 1543 to begin unifying Japan. After his death, his successor, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, continued the mission. And after him, a cunning leader named Tokugawa Ieyasu crushed his rivals at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. A new era had begun. The Tokugawa shogunate ruled Japan for over 260 years. Their capital, Edo, modern-day Tokyo. This era brought peace, economic growth, and the flowering of Japanese culture. Christianity was outlawed. Foreign influence was viewed as poison. In 1639, the government shut the country off from the world, entering its infamous period of sakoku, or closed country. Only the Dutch and Chinese were allowed to trade, and only through the port of Nagasaki. No one could enter, no one could leave. And for over 2 centuries, Japan remained frozen in time. But the world was changing, and it was coming for Japan. In 1853, American warships led by Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Edo Bay. Their message? Open your ports, or we'll open them for you. Japan had no answer for American firepower. The shogunate had no choice but to comply. Soon, other Western nations followed, and Japan's isolation was shattered. What followed was nothing short of a revolution. Discontent exploded, power shifted, and in 1868, a 15-year-old emperor named Meiji was restored to the throne. The shogunate was over, and Japan was about to change forever. This was the dawn of the Meiji Restoration, a time when Japan transformed itself from a feudal state into a modern industrial powerhouse in just a few decades. Railways, schools, telegraph lines, Western-style armies. In 30 years, Japan went from samurai swords to modern battleships, and soon it was ready to stand toe-to-toe with the world. This is the story of Japan, from ancient kingdoms and divine winds to atomic devastation and economic rebirth. A nation that rewrote its destiny not once, but many times over. Let's go back and uncover the full story. Japan's rise from isolation to global power is a story of resilience and reinvention. If you enjoyed this journey through history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching the American Rewind, where the past lives on.